Hello, people. Okay, now that we have already looked onto the transformation panel, we've already covered the point, and then we have line, circle, ellipse, all these things, right? But instead of going line by line or point by point, why not do something? We will go to extrusion now, right? We learn how to extrude things. Now, the whole point of using extrusion before using circles or anything like that, the edges or anything, is because I think if you know extrusion, then you would automatically get to know all those the other stuff, right? So let's extrude something, and for extrusion, you see, the first point is to have a geometry, right? So let's create a circle. Now, circle can be created by three means. So you can have a center point and a vector, and then obviously you'll have to give the radius, right? The other option is if you have three coordinates and you want to have them light up on the circle, then you can get a circle out of the three coordinates. Other option is if you have center point and then you have 2 points scattered, right? And then also you can have your circle. But we'll just fix with the go with the first one. Then you would need a center point. If you expand this geometry, you can see there is a plus O, OX, OY, OZ. These are the x's, and O is your origin. So we'll try and have a circle on the origin. So this you have fixed, and now you would want a vector, right? So that's gonna give the circle its center axis. So we'll say we want OZ axis as your vector. Apply and close. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we have, see, I'm trying to rotate it, but because I haven't toggled this on, so I'm not able to rotate it. So now, okay, now we have circle. Okay, let's remove the axis. Okay, so you have your circle and we want to extrude this. Okay, why would we want to extrude it? Because this is two-dimensional thing, so we're gonna be creating a three-dimensional thing by giving it a height. So let's see how it's done. Generation, so you go to the new entity, so you're creating something, so new entity, easy to remember, extrusion. Okay, now you need to give the base and then you need to give the vector. Okay, the base is your this object, vector same OZ vector, right? Okay, OZ is your vector and that's your height you have given 100. Okay, let's apply and see what we have got. So we have this kind of face, right? Or a shell, you can call it. So this is what you get after extrusion of a circle. So this was a long OZ vector. Let's suppose we have our own made up vector. Okay, so we'll have to make a vector now, right? In order to choose a vector now, okay, on the panel, here's the vector, this arrow which you can see. Okay, and now we have two options. All right, so we don't have 2 points, which is why we are not using this option. Rather, what we're going to be doing is okay, let's do with this one. Okay, so we need 2 points, right? So first point, we already have the origin, so I'm going to be choosing origin. And then second point I need, right? Second point we haven't created yet, so let's create the second point. Let's, okay, so you have your origin, right? And then I need to translate this. One moment. Yeah, translation of the object. No, we don't need a extrusion, we need this, right? And we need it to be extended by 50 units, okay, in the Z direction, right? I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Let's apply and close and then turn on the, now you can make a vector out of these 2 points, but I don't want to do that. Why? Because I want to rotate my vector. I don't want my vector to be in the OZ direction, because we already had one, right? So we would want it to be rotated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate this point a bit further on the x-axis. So I'm going to use the translation again, and I'm going to use your object as your translation, because that's the, let's toggle this off or hide this for a moment. So we want our translation, right, and this to be moved by a unit of 25 degrees. Okay, so you have your translation too. So this is your new point, and that's your original point, which is your origin, right? So let's turn on the axis. So this is your origin, this is your new point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be making a vector out of it. So for vector, I'm gonna be using 2 points. First point is your origin, that's fine. Second point is your translation 2, and apply and close. So we have a vector now, right? So now we have a circle and we have a vector, correct? So let's try and extrude this circle along this vector. Let's see what happens. Just for the excitement, generation, and then you do extrusion. So you have your base as circle, that's fine. Vector as vector 1, apply and close. So you see, this is what you get if you change your direction of the vector. So that's how vectors assist you in case if you want to, you know, put slantness, or you want to put any kind of direction to your extruded objects. So let's put the extrusion 1 as well on, and extrusion 2. You can see, right? So that's the main fun which you can do with your vectors and extrusion. Now it's self-explanatory because we had two-dimensional, not even two-dimensional, it's one-dimensional, the just the edge, right? So we had the edge for the circle, and then we extruded it, and then we got this uh, shell sort of thing, correct? And if we had face, right, let's do it. Let's turn this off, put the circle back on, right? And now you want to build a plane out of it. So building, again creating, so you go to build, and you want to create a face out of it. Face out of what? Face out of your circle. Apply and close. Now you have got face, right? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna be extruding this face. Okay, new entity, extrusion. Where is extrusion? In your generation, extrusion, and face 1, that's fine. Vector, which vector do you want to go in? Let's go into the vector 1. Okay, so okay, base you have to choose as face, and for vector you choose vector 1. So that's your extruded object. Apply and close. Okay, now if you see, what's the main difference which you got for this extrusion and that extrusion? Well, the previous extrusion that didn't have faces. I know what you're saying, that it's hollow from inside, but the new extrusion when you created, that's complete solid. How do you get to know it's not a shell, it's a solid? Well, this little icon which you get, you can also see over here. So shell's icon is this one, and the solid icon is this one. So you're getting the solid icon here. So which solid is created when you're extruding your face. So that's pretty much about the extrusion, and obviously it can be used in various, it can be used for various other purposes, but just to understand the concept how extrusion is done, this is it. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.